Hey everybody, warmer days are upon us. That means a few things. Evals may be here. You might be looking at spring hockey, might be even looking forward to summer hockey. When it gets to the off season, I always like to present you with alternative options to just being on the ice all the time because you deserve a break too. And what we do in my house for my son, who's a goalie, and my daughter, who's a skater, is use NHL Sense Arena, our title sponsor, as many of you know. And they just launched a new goalie mindset training with Pete Fry, which is all about building composure, focus, and emotional control that goalies need in big moments. And then for the skaters, they've really updated Dangle Pro with full ice scanning. So now you're not just standing still stick handling in isolation. You're handling the puck while scanning, making reads, and training your awareness like you would in a real game. And again, this uses mixed reality. So you're actually stick handling with your real stick and a puck. You can see it around virtual objects. It's super fun and it's super nuts. We shared some videos with that. I wish I had that as a kid. Check these deals out. They're offering 50% off an annual plan compared to paying monthly. Plus, you get a free hockey training ball, a free green biscuit, and free shipping on that. Or if you go all in with a 2-year subscription, you can get a new MetaQuest 3S headset for $100. That's $900 in savings. I have never seen them offer the headset for that price. So if that's what's been holding you up, this is the time to get it because it all is going to add up, all right? Head to nhl.sensearena.com/OKPH and use the promo code OKPH to save an additional $25 on top of the offers I've already mentioned. We have always loved NHL Sense Arena's belief in us and what we do as a show, and we always appreciate your belief in us as well. This is a great deal. Go check it out. And as always, enjoy this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. Hello, hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome to another episode of Our Kids Play Goalie. First one of these we've done in a while. I'm Lee Elias, joined by my co-hosts Mike Benelli and Christy Casciano Burns. We talk a lot about youth hockey on this show, so today we thought it might be fun to do an episode from the source. Today's guest is just 14 years old, but she's already inspiring goalies everywhere and hockey players everywhere. We're joined by Estela Vazquez, a goaltender, most currently with the Connecticut Junior Rangers, Greenwich Country Day School, and the Puerto Rico women's national team, where she was named goaltender of the tournament at the 2025 IIHF 3-on-3 Women's Series in Buenos Aires, helping Puerto Rico capture gold. I feel like I've said that once or twice on this show before. Estela's story is one of discipline, joy, and maturity beyond her years. From starting in hockey in New York City to standing tall on the international stage, today we'll explore what it's like to balance school, elite training, and pressure at such a young age, and how she's using her success to inspire the next generation of goalies, something that she's already doing. And I can speak from personal experience with Estela as a full disclosure, one of her coaches. She's an incredible human being for her age, and we're really excited to share her with you today and her expertise, like we said. So Estela, welcome to Our Kids Play Goalie.
Thank you. Yeah.
Estela, we'd like to say congratulations. We're so excited you're on the show today. And we always ask our hockey players how it all began. So we're all curious. How did hockey come into your life? And what made you decide to hone in on becoming a goalie?
It's a long story, but I'll keep it short. Basically, it all started kind of when I was watching the Rangers on TV. And I was like, this kind of looks fun. And then I was watching my dad play a lot because he's a defenseman. So I was watching him. I also started as a defenseman too. And I played with the Westchester Vipers in Westchester, over like 30 minutes away from my house. And I played defense with them for a couple years. And then I saw on NHL 15, I was like, this goalie mode, and I wanted to try it. And then I figured it out, and I was like, whoa, I want to be like Henrik Lundqvist now. And yeah, so I gave it a try, and I really liked it. My parents supported me. They got me some equipment, and basically that's where I started playing goalie. I played for the Danbury Hat Tricks. That was my first year as a goalie, and it was just a blast, and I really wanted to continue with it.
Yeah, I know your schedule. I mean, at 14 years old, right? And I think, playing for multiple teams, Lee ran down, basically the programs you're working with right now.
I can do it again if you want, Mike. It was a mouthful.
Yeah. We don't have time. We got to try to fit this in. But I think, but Stella, can you talk about a little bit about I know we talk to a lot of, we work with a lot of teenagers and players that are going through the same demands as you with school and travel and the national team and your school team and your club team. Can you just talk about, what a typical week looked like for you this winter and describe a little bit how you manage that?
Yeah, so I originally started out in the beginning of the season. I was doing like a split season kind of thing with CJR, but it worked out where I didn't have to do both because it's with my GCDS schedule, we practice almost every day of the week, and it would have been a lot. So, but I'd say like for when I was in school GCDS season, it was really just like Monday I got on the ice, like after school, I got on the ice with my team, and then Tuesday we had a team lift after school, and then Wednesday another practice or sometimes games on Wednesdays, either home or away, and Thursdays, another team practice, and then Fridays either a game or practice again. So basically, we're kind of like we're always on the ice either way, or we're always getting to hang out with the team and each other too. And then Saturday, Sunday, either a game, and then Sunday's usually a rest day, but on the ice a lot.
But go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, so we know you're a budding star and we know you're a superb, you've got your timing together for academics, and maybe just like, cause we have, again, we have 13, 14, 15-year-olds and you are playing on teams with older players, right? And older girls. I mean, can you just, are you looking to them for a little advice, or do you look at seeing how they manage their schedule, to make sure you could fit in the academic piece of staying eligible and current and keeping your GPA where it needs to be, so that, hockey then doesn't become a burden. It actually becomes, something you can, use to help you manage your time.
Yeah, of course. I always look up to those that are older than me, because I know they obviously have been through that before. And since they've gotten far, they know how to time manage. So yeah, I definitely look up to those that are older than me. And I feel like, they rain down kind of such like, I don't even know how to explain it, like amazing advice. And the ones that I've talked to, they've definitely helped me kind of time manage, and it's all working out so far for me. So.
And we'd love to get into how you manage to stay calm in the net. Because really, I mean, you think about the task of a goalie, it takes a lot of mental strength. So do you have any tricks or any kind of advice you'd like to share for parents listening who are, becoming goalie parents for the first time? What would you like to share with them?
Yeah, I think the position is definitely you need a lot of, mental strength for it. So, I mean, what I do to kind of calm myself before the game is I, listen to music. I kind of like get in the zone that way, making sure I'm not too scared for whatever game. And I mean, I always think about it not as like a fear of playing bad, but of like what if, like, I'm kind of thinking like the happiness and the feeling of playing good. That way it drives me more into playing well. And you always want to think positive on the ice, because when you ever think negatively, it goes bad. So I mean, on the ice, I also keep myself calm. I say kind of these phrases like, leave the one behind me, or like my go-to phrase is lock in. So, I say those phrases, and it really, like, just saying a couple words helps your mind, like helps your mentality change so much. It's crazy to me.
Stella, I do want to talk about Argentina for a couple of minutes. And for the audience listening, I know you've heard some episodes from some of our players from Puerto Rico, but I want to set this up a little bit. So when we were preparing to create this IIHF team to go down there, when it comes to goaltending, we always say Puerto Rico is blessed with a lot of great goaltending, but that doesn't mean all the goaltenders are always available. So in this situation, not that you were not on the radar, but it came to that you were going to be one of the two goalies down there. Now, at that time, you're 13 years old, right? So as a coach, and this is what's cool about the show is we can talk about this. for me, I want to put you in a position to succeed, right? We're going to a large place with a home crowd of 700 people, 400, 700 people, a lot of people. All right. And I'm asking you to jump in the net against some of the best teams in the world at 3-on-3 in their home arena. Not only did you execute on that, you ended up winning goalie of the tournament. I know when they announced that, it's not that like it was a complete shock, but you never know how those things are going to go. And they said your name. And I remember we all went, wow, like, that's amazing. So I want to ask you a couple questions here, right? And I want to reiterate, this is the international stage. You are representing a nation of people. You have been involved with PR hockey for a long time. This is the highest level you'd ever played with in the program. How did you mentally, I know we talked about it, get yourself prepared for that before, during the tournament? And then when they said your name for the goalie of the tournament, I mean, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so before the tournament, I knew that obviously I had a goalie partner because you had told me, and I was just excited to get the opportunity to play on the national team because, again, I've said this a couple times, like I never thought I'd get this far in the program that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just preparing myself, just happy to be there. And during the tournament, I was like, we really have a chance at winning that. We always had a chance because you always go into everything with a winner mentality. That's how people win. But I looked at the teams and I looked at us and I had faith because our team, we were like during the practices, I was like, we're pretty good. So yeah. And during the tournament, it was just great. I was just thinking about, having the chance of winning and beating Argentina at their home. And I was thinking about that feeling and I was like, oh my God, that feeling would be insane. And we did it in overtime. And I was like, oh, what's better than that? That was crazy. Right. Yeah. But yeah, I think, and then after that game, when I got the award, I was in shock. I didn't think that I would actually get it because, I mean, despite my age, I just think like there was so much talent on the ice, and I was in shock. I was surprised, but it definitely, I was so humble to get it, and I really appreciate the IHF, giving that award to me. It was great.
Yeah, and I got to say this to the people listening here. I want you to imagine your 13-year-old kid like being asked to play on a national team, right? With grown adults. Like that is what the task was for Estela, okay? And again, one of the things about this show, Stella, that I should tell you is that, Mike says this all the time, like if I'm picking you, I'm playing you, right? Mm-hmm. Like I was not comfortable picking you and saying, hey, come sit on the bench for 5 games in Argentina. Like that was not the goal. Like we played you, we tried different things. We split you, both goalies, you and Kaylee. You played the incredibly pivotal semifinal to get us to the final. You played that entire game. It was a lot of responsibility and you really stepped up to it. Right. I want to remind the audience, again, Estela is so well-spoken. She's 14 years old, right. And able to compartmentalize this type of pressure. So that's just going to lead me into kind of a next question. I'll throw it back to my co-host after that. We talk a lot about sacrifice versus choices on this show. So something I learned early on about Estela, knowing her for several years, is that she's obsessed with this game. She loves this. She is dedicated and driven to become the best goalie she can possibly become. And she doesn't need any help in terms of that drive. It just exists in her. And we talked, Stella, about how that's really something you have to have if you want to succeed. So you are someone that I see at your age, again, I don't like to call them sacrifices, making choices to further your, we'll call it career, right, as a goaltender. Can you talk as a 14-year-old, as someone in high school, basically, of how your brain looks at, okay, I have a choice to do this with my classmates or do a goalie training session, in which you often choose the goalie training session. How does that work in your mind?
I always obviously I love stepping on the ice. I love knowing that I can get better any chance I get on the ice. And I think I just love those moments because you never know when your last game could be, because people get these injuries out of nowhere, and it's just I want to stay healthy and I want to make sure that I'm getting every moment in that I can. So, I kind of think about in my in these decisions, like I want to grow as a player, want to grow as an athlete. So I always choose, the goalie clinics, and then those goalie coaches, help me to grow for my game and game situations, and that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, speaking about goalie coaching and understanding that, that's such a crucial aspect, right, of your development. And I think the people that your parents and yourself have been, able to surround yourself with. Can you just talk a little bit about, like, what do you feel? And again, you don't have to throw any goalie coaches under the bus.
Or you can if you want.
Or you can if you want. You don't have to yell. You have to any names. I've never worked as a goalie coach, by the way. So if what would you classify for yourself, like when you're looking and you're with your teammates and your goalie mates, what would you say to a parent right now if they were sitting down with you and said, well, what would you consider like a really great goalie coach for you?
I think a goalie coach that can support you even if, things have went bad in a game, and not say, you suck. I think goalie coaches sometimes there's some harsh ones. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but there's some harsh ones out there. And I just feel like, you can be harsh, but you could also support the athlete and make sure, they're not there. It's a mental game too. And I've spoken about this a lot too. Like, sport is 50% mental, mostly mental. And especially goalie, the position, like, if one word gets thrown at you that is especially by an adult, it influences the athlete. And I feel like, just having a supporting goalie coach, one that can tell you, what you can improve on to help you in game situations, is one that will help you succeed and help you, achieve your goals in life.
Do you think? I just want to add one thing to this, only because I think in the area we have a lot of, really a great crop of goalie coaches available. And I think each coach, when you're seeking different aspects of the game, could bring a different aspect to their own coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're with these different groups and different goalie coaches and different systems, I mean, do you feel the pressure to change your game, or do you feel like a good goalie coach is just building on what you already like to do and what you're already good at?
I think what you said after, I think goalie coaches kind of help me build on what I've been doing in the game. And I mean, some goalie coaches, they've helped me, like one goalie coach that I've worked with, he kind of helped me learn new skills and like kind of tweaked my game in certain, because obviously goal in the position, like there's a lot of angling involved and stuff, and a lot of, you got to stay square. So I think, some of the skills that I've learned have changed my game completely, and how I see different shots, ultimately led to more saves. And I think it's, they just change your perspective so much. And these goalie coaches are great now. Like they're crazy. Yeah.
Well, let's also just talk about coaching for a second. Sorry, Chris, I want to stay on this for 1 second. Yeah. Cause one of my pet peeves as a coach, and Christy, Mike, you can join me in this. Estella, I already know where you're going to stand on this, is crappy practice planning, or they don't think about goaltenders at all, which boggles my mind. It is the most important position on the ice. Why you would not even think about that when you're creating your practice plans bothers me. So I'm going to ask you kind of a two-part question here. Like, one is in the practices, I like to talk to my goalies before practices and say, hey, does this work on the things you want to work on? Do you need to work on anything? Depending on the situation, obviously. If we have things we need to work on with the offense and defense, I'll tell you that too. That's one aspect of it. And the other aspect is in the games. And Mike, you brought this up too. I think part of developing a goaltender, which can be hard for coaches, is not to panic when things look bad. Like, I try and stay really in sync with you mentally and physically. This is all goalies, right? Okay, if the game's a little tough, that doesn't mean I should just pull you out of the net, right? Like, you got to go through this. You got to figure this out. Again, I don't want to put anybody in a position where it's going to be devastating. But like, if we're down 3 goals, no, stay in. You're going to have to feel this feeling at some point and push through that. So specifically from a coaching standpoint, Estela, can you talk to me about practices for head coaches, not just goalie coaches, And then the game situations of like, if I'm struggling, I don't always want to be pulled out of the net. I got to go through that on my own.
Yeah, I definitely think coaches should definitely like you are incorporate goalies into their practices, because if you don't incorporate goalies, they're never going to learn what to do with the team. They're not going to grow as a team player, and that's crucial to the game now because goalies play the puck a lot more than they used to, and especially I play the puck a lot, and sometimes when like coaches don't incorporate me into the practices, the players don't know where I would be passing
Right.
to. So I think it's crucial, and yeah, in the game situations where like let's say you're down like 4 goals and you feel really bad, I feel like a goalie should stay in the net for that. They got to definitely got to, what you said, got to figure it out, and they will go through that moment multiple times in their life. And I know I've been through that moment a couple times, and it sucks in the moment, but just it helps you kind of grow mentally because you're always preparing for the next. You always want to prepare, especially when you get a lot of shots in those instances. Like you want to prepare for the next shot, and you're trying to put your mind, forward, not backwards. So yeah, I think it helps you grow definitely as an athlete to be down by that much.
I'd love to get into goalie parents if we can. Now, over the years, both my kids played hockey. I've seen some goalie parents being super supportive and kind of hands off. I've also seen goalie parents with clipboards in their hands, analyzing every shot, which ones they miss, where they go in, how many shots they miss in a game, how many shots they save. It's kind of like obsession with some goalie parents. How much do you think it can hurt a goalie when a parent is that obsessed with their performance, acting as coaches rather than acting as supportive parents?
We're not calling out your dad, by the way. Christy, that's a hard question for her. No, I'm only kidding. We just know her down. So
yeah, I mean, you can get pressure from parents, right? Too.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Yeah. I think some parents, obviously, like you said, they go pretty hard on their children,
Sure.
especially as goalies. But I think it could definitely hurt the goalie because they're always thinking about like they're never thinking about getting praised by their parents, because their parents are always going to be like, why didn't you save this? Because not every goalie's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody can save every shot every game. Like you're not going to get a shutout every single game of your entire career. So I mean, doing like definitely keeping track of like certain things, like if it's obviously like if it's a repetitive thing where like you're letting in the same goals, I think that's fine to point out. But if it's every goal and it's different things, I think it's easier to analyze that as the athlete more than the parent, because you can kind of put your own, I mean, the athlete can kind of put their own, like mindset on it, and they can kind of like see where like they messed up, where the parent, could kind of point out something where maybe the goalie wasn't, they weren't aware of it, but they maybe think that was the right choice in a way, or like it's kind of hard for the parents to like,
Yeah.
I just want to add.
Making it hard on you too, right? Oh, Lee, come on.
I just want to add. Well, I want to add two things. Number one is we I mean, Estela, we wouldn't have you on here. Like we wouldn't normally have a 14-year-old on here without their dad or mom sitting next to them and contributing, in the interview. And I think, knowing your maturity level, and I think, personally knowing you and your family, and knowing that, your dad's not like on the, with the clipboard on the side of the ice, tracking every single moment of your life. I think it, giving you the opportunity to make those mistakes and putting you in some pretty high profile positions. I mean, going off and playing for a national team, going off and playing for a prep school, going off and playing for like a top youth hockey program. Those are things I think parents need to evaluate and say, well, is my son or daughter, is my goaltender mature enough to even handle these situations, before they put you in there. So I think, I think kudos to, what your mom and dad have done to prepare you, as far as your maturity level and your preparedness. But I think, one of the things that Christy's saying too is, one of the aspects of that pressure and that expectation too comes from, how you deal with and how you work with your teammates. Can you just talk a little bit about, because I've seen it all the time, right? We see a game, the buzzer blows and the horn goes off and the game's over and everybody congregates to a player or it often isn't like, the goalie, right? It's a lot of times it is, right? If there's a big win or a shutout, everybody's coming in front of your bench. But if the kid scores in the corner, the goalies are the last ones saying, hey, I'm down here. Remember me? Like I made a couple of saves early, that helped us win. Can you talk about how important it is for a goaltender, especially at your age, to have the support of your teammates and feeling like, your teammates have your back as well?
Yeah, it's so important because I've definitely been in situations where I kind of feel like I'm alone and and I'm spaced out between my teammates. And I feel like it doesn't help with the sport because obviously the sport is a team sport. You're supposed to be, you have your teammates back, they have your back. And also it's a trust too, because these girls, guys, whoever you're playing with, they're helping you succeed too because they have your back as defensemen, whether it's, in the slot or they have your back as forwards, where they're, getting the puck out of the zone, so it's definitely a trust thing too. I feel like goalies and their teammates they should have close bonds, and it could also help with, relationships too. Like you grow, you get friends from the sport realistically, and, and teamwork. And I think all those main points are important to grow as an athlete too.
Right. And also an important element is confidence. Confidence is everything, right? As a goalie, let's talk a bit about that. What helps you build your confidence in the net?
Confidence for me, I think it's also starting, just before I get on the ice, like with all the music that boosts my confidence and also warming up, because I have a certain warm up too that I like to do every game. And, some games it doesn't work out because we get there late, but, I still try to incorporate some aspect of my warm up to, boost my confidence, because I feel like repetition of that warm up helps me, I feel like I'm in the zone, and that's what makes me play well. So, and that preparedness is what, I feel every time I do that. So then that translates onto the ice when I feel confident from those warm-ups and I feel ready for the game. I try to get, my energy up, and every time I see a shot, I get excited, make the next one. And that's what really drives confidence level up for me.
I just love your attitude, Stella.
It's great. So impressive.
One of the things, I noticed early on about you, and I've probably known you since you were 11, 12 years old now, which seems like years ago. I mean, it was, but what I recognized in you immediately, and I'm not just talking as a coach, I'm just talking as a hockey person, was you had a dream. You had a dream, and it was pretty obvious. And I remember I could relate to that because when I was your age, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, right? That's on you if you want to be open about like your dreams and your goals and things like that. But I do want you to talk about the power of having a goal, having a dream, and how that drives you day to day. Because I think a lot of parents and kids, and we got to kind of look at this both ways. A lot of parents want their kids to have dreams, right? There's nothing wrong with having dreams. And a lot of kids want to have dreams. A lot of kids also don't have dreams. And that's okay. It's okay to not know what you want to be when you're 14, right? But I do want you to talk about the power of like, I know what I want and I'm going to work to get that. And how, has that made it easy? Has it made it hard? You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I think, having something that you're always aiming to achieve helps you because of the work you're putting in, and it all kind of translate. It's kind of like a bunch of lines connecting to one single point. You're putting all these pieces together, and you realize like, if I do this, I really could succeed. And having that goal is just a feeling like it'll be, you're thinking about that, like that great feeling and that great achievement that you want to accomplish. And I think, having a goal in life, it just drives everything that you're doing now. And you see kind of like the other side of it too. Like you see how like everything in the process will come together, and you kind of see you're kind of open-minded about it too, because even if you don't like going, let's say you don't like going to like a certain clinic every day, you don't like the people, but you see how you're going to see, if you have that goal, you're going to see how this will help you in the long run. And I think it's just, it changes your perspective completely.
I want to ask you too about a couple athletes that you look up to, right? I know you're a huge pro hockey fan. That's something we know about you. We know you love Aaron Frankel, Igor Shesterkin. For those of you watching this episode, you can see her Instagram handle is actually Shestella, which is a funny play on words there. What's about their games or personality that inspires you? And how do you learn from watching, pro goaltenders play?
I really love, it's mainly just Aaron Frankel and Igor Shesterkin, because those are obviously the two that are in the top leagues, and that they're two people that I really enjoy watching. I love their style of play. And I kind of analyze what they do off the ice and what they do on the ice. And yes, that like, that is kind of broad, but I mean more like their attitude and how they go into things, and on the ice how that translate, and how they hang out with their teammates, how they support each other too. And then I also, as a goalie, I see kind of like, I see their positioning, and then I see how well their skating is. And the skating definitely helps with the whole position, because that's basically what you're doing as a goalie, you're skating a lot. And I just try to analyze every kind of single thing they're doing, every decision they're making, and how they're not hesitant to make those decisions. That they're very active, they're not passive. So I feel like it improves my game watching them too. And I kind of try to, I know I'm not trying to be like Igor, not trying to be like Aaron Franco. I'm trying to be myself, obviously, but I think using their, not advice that they've given me, but using what they're doing on the ice right now, using that is kind of helping me improve on what I can do in those situations. So I think, watching them, being able to watch them too is it's a pleasure. Yeah.
I'm wondering too, obviously as a student of the game, I mean, we've seen you, being able to be in a situation where you're like you just described, you're watching other athletes, you're watching, from the women's side and the men's side, these are world-class athletes that are developing habits and, developing routines and developing the things that make them or help them, find success in the game. What do you think as you're going through this process right now of, maturing and growing, as a young lady and in the sport of hockey? Are there any, things that you look for as an athlete right now that you want to make sure that that you're being aware of, as far as overuse injuries, overtraining, undertraining? Are these things that you think about and discuss with your goalie coaches and your parents and your regular coaches, just as you lay out? Because it is a long, you're very at the beginning of your career, right? Although it seems like to Lee, like it sounds like you played for 17 years, but I think but there's a long road, right? And what are you doing to prepare for that road?
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping track with my parents of how much I'm working myself. I want to make sure, like you said, overworking. I want to make sure I'm not, um, stepping on the ice every day is great, but I feel like it matters most what you're doing on the ice rather than you're just stepping on the ice. You want to make sure you're pacing yourself, because if you overwork yourself, and I've gone through this, I've pulled my groin almost twice. And that was a result of me overworking myself over the spring. And I think you just really got to pace yourself, make sure you're staying healthy, eating correctly, making sure you're stretching too, keeping those, a healthy body definitely translates too, because seriously, like an injury can ruin your career. So you want to make sure you're
Yeah, I think insert Sensorina commercial here.
Yeah, right.
So it's just,
I was just
And-
gonna say that there's a great movie in the late 1900s Stella, that I'm sure you haven't seen, called When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
All right, it's and all the adults will know this movie, right? Not saying you're not an adult, you know what I mean. Anybody over 40 knows this movie, and there's a great line at the end of this movie where follow me, everybody. The two main characters fall in love. And one of the main characters says, when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start pretty much right away, right? And that is true of spending your life with somebody. It's also true when you realize what you want to do, right? You want to rush and get there as fast as possible. So I actually really love that you just said this. This is a really important message to the parents and the kids listening too. There's a speed you can go at, but if you push it too much, you will hurt yourself. And you will stunt your growth, right? And it's like, yeah, you want it to start right as soon as possible, but that journey, first off, the journey is the gift, all right? And like the older you get, the more you realize that, all right? But that journey is a process that you have to also embrace, and you're really doing that. So sorry, Christy, I just wanted to make sure.
Oh no,
I thought it was a good reference. Yeah,
it's great, and I want her to continue with this good messaging, which I'm sure she's going to do this weekend. You're visiting a 14U team in Danbury. Right. What else are you going to share with those kids? And I'm sure you're going to have your medal with you too. I would think they'd all like to see that.
Yeah, I think, hanging out with them is also great because I kind of since I've been on the national team, some of them ask about the experience, and they ask about, how did you stay so, composed and confident? And I just feel like sharing that experience definitely helps them because they want to get far into the program as well. And they want to succeed in pre-HA as well. So I feel like, that experience being shared helps them grow for their goals. And it helps them, see also all the perspectives behind getting that gold medal that we just got. So I think it's great.
I'm so impressed that you find the time to do this with your busy schedule, that it's important to stop a moment and share what you've learned with others to help them exceed. What a great assist you're giving to those young players.
Yeah, Christy, I'll add to that and I'm going to say it like this. If I accomplished what she accomplished when I was 14, I don't think I would have done the stuff that you're doing still. I don't think I've been going to school. I think I've been flaunting that thing like not in a very immature way is the way I think I would have said it. Because it's a big deal. And again, we talked about choices, right? You made a choice to like inspire the next generation of kids. Now, one of the things we do talk about with the national team all the time is that responsibility of, hey, this is not about you or me. It's really not even about us, right? It's about the nation, right? It's about we're representing a people, and you've always had a grip on that, like always since the day I met you. Where does that come from, right? Can you talk a little bit about, where your pride for representing Puerto Rico comes from, and then also like how you really take that on, like this. Again, I can't express it to the audience enough. You take that so seriously, whether you're playing on a youth team a few years ago or a national team. Like you've always had pride in that.
Yeah, I think mainly for me, representing is amazing. But I think also the players that I've played with, they've definitely helped me represent it even more, and they've make me feel seriously like I've never felt more like family with a team other than, Puerto Rico. And I think representing the jersey, it's not everyone says this, but I think it's really key to think about this. Like, the logo on the front is so much more important than the name on the back. And I 100% agree, because you're representing all these people and you're representing a nation. And it's amazing to feel too. Like the feeling, it's unbearable. Like you seriously, like, you're representing all these people and you feel it's an amazing feeling, especially after winning that gold medal. Like you accomplished so much for this team, and you don't know, like obviously like the what was it, the governor of Puerto Rico? They reposted all that, and it gets the word out, and also helps people. I'm sure it's definitely helped people get into the program too, because once they hear about this, I mean, obviously I've spoken about this before, like the main goal is to get more people to the program. And I think that win also helped us do that too. So I feel like, representing and then winning definitely helps the program grow, and we're going to keep going.
Well, I can tell you right now that when the USA women won the gold medal, they hit 100,000 new registrants, registered female hockey players right away. And we hit 100 registered female athletes right away as well, which, for those who are listening, that's a lot of female hockey players that have Puerto Rican heritage or come from the island. It's an amazing number when you think. If I told all of you listening, oh yeah, there's 100 women that play ice hockey that are from Puerto Rico, you tell me I'm crazy, right? But Stella, you played a big part in that. The team has, the entire association has. And that's one of the fun parts is growing. And I do want to make a note here for everybody. And this is not so much about Puerto Rico right now. This is about Stella's attitude, right? She just told you that it's part of it is growing the program, which means potentially bringing in competition against herself. And she understands that. We've had conversations about that. And I've said it earlier in the episode. We have a lot of goalies within Puerto Rico hockey, right? Like it's that, again, Stella, I'm paying you a compliment, but for the audience, I'm trying to make this a bigger thing. Like, we're so competitive in this sport and pointing fingers at everybody else. If my kid's better than your kid and all these things, there's a kid telling you like, no, I just want to grow the program. All right. Because if we grow the program, everybody wins. Man, what a refreshing take. Right? Christy, Mike. I mean, that's pretty
so refreshing. Yeah. We don't hear it enough.
I think for the other goalie parents out there too, that you and Stella knows this, right? And is that you can't sharpen unless you're being sharpened. Like you have to find competition. Like you have to, if you really truly want to be the best player in your age and in your division and in your league and in your country, then you need the other best players driving after you and chasing you and hunting you down. And if you're fearful of that and you shy away from it, you're just not going to be that player anyway. So I think it's and I think for goaltending, it's such another level of that, because it's not, you go into practice, and if you don't have somebody breathing down your neck in the other net, like you can't sharpen your own skills. That latency becomes a real detriment to your development. And I think the younger you can find that out, and the younger and it's parents that put their children in a team where they feel like the only goalie getting the most time is the best situation. That's ultimately not going to get you where you need to get to, because this is really the one position that you have to have that competition really going after you every day. And I think, Stella, you obviously have the maturity to handle that. And I think this coaching staff around you knows that the better players we can get to compete against her, the better we're going to make, our goalie. So,
Stella, look, last question from us. You've been really gracious with your time on a weekday. When we mention your resume at the start of the episode, it sounds like we're talking to someone who's been playing for 20 years. But again, you're 14 years old, right? You've achieved so much already. Like, what's next? What is your goals for the next few years, both on and off the ice? Like the story continues, right? Like, what's next for you?
Yeah, I think my main goal right now, obviously I'm in prep school, try to keep excelling when I'm playing prep school and embracing every moment, growing as an athlete, maturing. I think those are all main things I want to look at in the next couple of years. And then for college, and my main goal is D1, and I want to try to make sure, keep pacing myself, not overworking myself, but I think just keep growing as an athlete and growing mentally is definitely two of my big main points. And obviously getting into a very competitive organization is going to help me grow as well. So I think, and then obviously I want to be able to represent, honestly, I want to go to the PWHL too. And I you're going to see this too, but PR and the Olympics, that will be, if that happens, that'll be amazing. And I want to make sure that I, am ready for that moment, because I know college will definitely prepare me for that too. And I just want to, embrace the journey, embrace the moment, every moment I can. But I know it's going to be great.
Well, I love it, Stella. I mean,
Yeah.
I love that you're not afraid to say what you want and that you're willing to try it. You also said in this episode that nothing's guaranteed. I'm going to gush. It's incredible maturity for someone of your age.
Mhm.
And again, for the parents listening, whether your kids sounds like this or not is okay. I always like to say that at the end of the episode, right? Like everyone grows at their own rate. I think it's really important to hear that. But Estella, you really are just a wonderful kid. Period. Aside from the hockey, I want to thank you for coming on today. But I also would like to ask Mike and Christy if you have any final thoughts before I close this
No,
up.
thank you so much for sharing your journey with us because it's so inspiring and you're so cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's never said that about me ever. Stella,
No.
just so you know.
Thank you.
And I still don't know why nobody stopped by the office with the gold medal, but that's okay.
Mike, it's right there. I got it right there hanging behind me. All right. You
Nice.
here's the file.
Nice.
She's closer to me. She's closer to me.
That's right. Okay. All right. That's an effort thing for you, Mike. We'll talk about that. Stella, thanks so much for being here today, kid. And
Thank
we
you,
appreciate
yeah.
being on.
Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
No, thank you. That's going to do it for this edition of Our Kid Plays Goalie, technically here today. Remember, if you have any questions or thoughts or things you want to discuss, email us at team@ourkidsplayhockey.com. And remember, with every episode in the description, you can pick any one. There's a link that you can click on. You can actually text us with your name, where you're from. We can't text you back with any information you want. Thoughts, questions, all of it. We love hearing from you as an audience. But for Estela Vazquez, Christy Casciano Burns, Mike Benelli, I'm Lee Elias. Practice that every once in a while. We'll see you on the next Our Kids Play Goalie. Take care, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, ourkidsplayhockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at whenhockeystops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.